Okay, we are going to continue with this very interesting discussion regarding the so-called ET or extraterrestrial phenomenon and the discussion at hand of ultra-terrestrials. So we see that mankind has tended to label for convenience an entirely multidimensional phenomenon into what's called the extraterrestrial experience. And what the two Dr. Hurtaks are pointing out and what they're attempting to explain is, just as there are many peoples on Earth, there are many levels of intelligence throughout the universe. So there are, as we now see from the work done by the Hurtaks and others, that there are physical beings still in reincarnational cycles, if as it were, that may or may not be spiritually advanced, may or may not be necessarily benevolent. They may not be malevolent, but not necessarily benevolent. They are very often they are curious, they are exploring, but they are not spiritually enlightened necessarily.
To bring this from a hypothetical level down to a practical level, in 1986 there were unusual vehicle forms of light seen over a southern Brazilian city called São José dos Campos. Over a military target, unusual spherical wheels of light were seen. This made the headlines in the local press. Even military reports later released to this speaker suggested there was some type of invasion taking place of unknown shapes and forms that basically were not following any structured pattern of technology. Some of these pictures I brought to NASA for film analysis privately, and they were later released in some of the international extraterrestrial UFO conferences that were held worldwide. The bottom line is the ultra-terrestrial are interdimensional. They do not follow the laws of science and thermodynamics as defined. They are not capable of breaking down into pieces like the extraterrestrial objects claimed by the American, French, and Brazilian government, and they represent, in my opinion, a type of spiritual cosmology, a higher connectiveness with civilizations that are both material as well as non-material.
The next question is, okay, this phenomenon is going on. Why are they here? Desi, why are ultra-terrestrials involved now and throughout mankind's history with mankind here on Earth?
So, what's important also to add to Dr. Hurtak's idea is that we need discernment. And this is very important because people say, okay, now I understand there's extraterrestrials, there's ultra-terrestrials. Well, how do I make the differentiation? What is the difference? And do I just go along with anyone or anything I see? And the idea of our cosmology is that, as you said very well, James, is that we have to have an understanding of why are they here? What is the purpose for them being here? And are they here to help humanity, or are they here for their own, we'll say, medical experiments? Some of them seem to be really picking up cows and testing them, picking up people and testing them. Are those the intelligences that we want to be connected with? Or do we want to be connected with those who are here maybe to give us some new technologies?
Let us look at the inner questions of life that the higher visitors, the ultra-terrestrials, historically called the spiritual guides or the spiritual masters, seem to be putting on our plate of discussion.
Well, what concerns me, by the way, is this. Because of the sensational stories, the human abductions, the slaughter and experimentation, say, on cows and other animals, I fear makes it too easy for people to deal with the so-called higher intelligence phenomenon as something that might be evil or mischievous or threatening or on the order of some type of a impending invasion. And I think that's unfortunate because we have more than one thing going on. And after spending over 35 years working with Dr. Hurtak, both Jim Hurtak and Desiree Hurtak, I have come to understand that simply because there are some curious physical extraterrestrial, the so-called grays, for an example, there are those that have a reptilian type appearance. Incidentally, they're not the same races of beings. But the fact that there are experiences with these two examples of physical aliens or extraterrestrials does not negate, nor does it really have anything directly to do with the fact that there is a higher order or hierarchy of intelligence, spiritual intelligence, beyond the physical, evolved beyond the physical, that now and always has looked over mankind and has offered protection and guidance to mankind, whether they've been interpreted as being angels in the historical past or divine avatar beings using some type of present language or interpretation. The point is that those that are enlightened and those that have a higher concern for the evolution of mankind, the spiritual evolution of mankind on this planet, needs to open up their mind and awareness to the fact that these experiences are real and they are occurring.
Desiree and I have cataloged more than 70 different forms of extraterrestrial intelligence, and we know because of the vastness of cosmic cultures and thousands of declassified government documents, many of which we have read from our friends formerly of the UK government, formerly of the Brazilian, Mexican governments, that there seems to be a quote-unquote mystery as to who's on first base. And so because of this, we need a higher interpretive factor of, do they bring real science to all people? Do they have real knowledge consistent with the great prophetic wisdom traditions of both East and West? Do they bring us, shall we say, a type of experience consistent with the laws of the United Nations that represent, as it were, freedom and, shall we say, full disclosure?
Right, so this is all part of the learning curve that we're going through as a collective humanity right now. There are, as I said, many people on this planet, right now 7 billion. You wouldn't say all of the people are all people you want to interact with. And this is the same as the extraterrestrial levels of intelligence. Some you want to stay away from because they're working on a different vibe, so to speak, and some you want to really work closer with, and some can really help humanity. So this is what we're dealing with also in the higher levels of intelligence. And ultimately, of course, as you were saying, James, there are those intelligences that probably have been helping humanity for over 6,000 years. Going back to the Great Pyramid, going to the fact of teaching civilization. If you read some of the myths of the Middle East, or what you call the Near East, some of the Oriental myths as well, you find that there were entities that came and taught certain arts of herbs and healing, agriculture. So maybe we didn't do it all ourselves. Maybe there was, at the very beginning of our civilization as we know it, some intelligences that were here to help. And does that mean now, when we're going through a vast change, and I believe we're going through some changes, that they're coming back again to show us and help us